So, hello again at AkzoNobel with an interesting speech of Range and Heine about current challenges in engineering of new painting lines. So, very welcome to Frau Max-Heine and listen to her speech. It's very interested about this theme. Thank you.
Many thanks from my time and to give me the chance from AkzoNobel to tell you a little bit about current challenges in the current engineering projects. We today talk about two very interesting cases. For many customers, they think about horizontal coating of single parts, and later, second part is robot painting. I do not want to go too deep into the product description because today the engineering and the processes should be in the focus of this presentation. But in order to understand what do we think about single part production, we talk here about single part impregnation and single part primering. From Range and Heine aspect, we do not spray in single parts on horizontal way. In general, this will be done on the frames. So the focus is on flow coating, intermediate or primer of single parts. So there are some existing systems, the very well known Flowcoating, very short version, that was the first installation 15 years ago. And with a blow-up section with pressure air. This is used for smaller companies and is not integrated in a transport system as it is introduced as a standalone system. In order to make an industrial process, we developed Flowcoating V. This is a system for single part impregnation, and this can be organized together with a dryer or automatic conveyor technique in order to have a real process in single part production. That was engineered just for impregnation, but the last years the customers ask us more and more also to do primer of single parts in horizontal lines. And so we developed a further system. This is called Flowcoating G. This is used for primer and intermediate coating. But this is all flow coating. So why do the customers think about single part production? The most interesting point is to have the possibility of sending single parts manually in order to have the chance that you do not have so much work on the frame parts later. So that does mean single part impregnation. That was too fast. When we talk about the processes, we have our customers ask us how to introduce the single part line. Where do I have to send the parts? Before the single part impregnation or primer or after? How can I dry the parts? And what is the complete process here? One example. Some years ago, we installed at Company Groß in Passau a single part line. We do here single part primer with a Flowcoating G. Afterwards, drying just on a conveyor. Then single part intermediate coating in the second tunnel with velocity 4 to 6 meters per minute. When we look on the layout, we see one tunnel for primer flow coating with color change and the second tunnel for intermediate coating, just one color. And you go here across the conveyor while the part is drying and can be used for the second tunnel too. That's a standard solution. In order, afterwards, they do the sanding. They pick up the parts when they are dry and they put it through a sanding machine. Then the frames are pressed together, and on the frame side, you do not have so much work. A second possibility how to do single part in production is at company Stolbut in Poland. We introduced here a flow coating impregnation, Flowcoating V. Afterwards, directly 3 units of IR dryers in order to get a very well drying. A drying so dry that the parts can be sanded directly, because in the complete line an automatic sanding system is included. So they do not need some manual work between impregnation and sanding. This is a complete process. When you look on the layout, you can see we have a Flowcoating V, 3 units of IR. That does mean 3 minutes drying. The velocity and the speed of the conveyor is 3 meters per minute, and in 3 minutes the parts are at the end of the dryer and they are complete dry. We have a vertical conveyor, a kind of control, because the operator has to turn the parts in order to get them with the right side in the sanding machine, just to put them around. And the sanding machine, and afterwards the parts are impregnated and sanded. They can press to a frame and go to the other production line for the frames. One of the most industrial solutions we have done last year in France for single part production. This is a complete line including single part impregnation, drying, automatic sanding, and again single part primering and drying. So the complete flow coating process, including the sanding, is done in one line. When you look on the layout, this is of course a little bit more complex and looks more industrial. We have a buffer for the loading of the section. We have the impregnation system, the IR dryer units, buffers between and control units. This is the sanding system included in the line. We go directly to the primer system, dryer, and to the unloading area. So this is a complete process of impregnation, primering, with sanding between. So you see, in the different concepts, the question of sanding is most important and has to be solved. And every customer has his single process. Another possibility how to solve this issue is an installation where we include the sanding system before the impregnation. In the last concepts we talked about paint or lacquer sanding. Here we talk about wood sanding before the first paint layer. In this line, the system for the sanding machine is included. We first sand the parts directly after the wooden production system. We have a buffer afterwards, and then we go through the impregnation line. So we have a sanded part, impregnated. It will be dried in a kind of wagon. There's no industrial dryer included. And the customer has enough time overnight to dry the parts completely. So you see, single part production is not one way. There are many different ways we can solve it. And each customer needs his own way to do this. The second big issue we have to talk about, and our customers ask us for, is paint robotics. So paint robotics, Max-Heine, we in general install 6-axis robotics with online workpiece recognition. That's a 2D recognition system with possibility of fast color change and intelligent logistics. This robot can be used for, of course, top coat and pre-coat, but at the moment we do many testings also with primer, spraying of primers. That's a big issue at the market. We have heard that on the fair many times. Customers ask us, is it possible to put the primer also with a robot, to apply the primer also with a robot? So for us, the robot, it's a standard product, but the processes beside the robot are very important. And the most important thing when we think and engineer a new robotic line is how to solve the problem that the robot has not to wait for parts. The robot just has to spray. So the complete conveying technique, the process of getting the parts, must be intelligent. So there are many different possibilities how to solve this. Just some examples. This is a robotic line installed at company Walter in Augsburg. We use the robot for pre-coat and for top coat. So they do the robotic on two times. Between the first time pre-lack, then we have a kind of sanding section, and they just do a kind of manual control between. So very easy installation, but it is intelligent because with a buffer directly before the spray booth, with an intelligent system of beam rotation and with an automatic conveyor system, we can avoid waiting times for the robot. When the first part is sprayed from both sides, already the second part is waiting directly before the scanner and goes into the cabin directly, so that the time between beam to beam is very, very slow and very, very short in order to get the full capacity of a robot. So with such intelligent concepts, we have a capacity for the robot between 40 and 50 beams in 8 hours. That's absolute no problem. Another concept for a little bit smaller production is a combined concept of robot technique and flow coating in one line. So this is a concept for about 30 windows per day. We have the possibility to use this line for flow coating, and when flow coating process is finished, we use the line for the robot. Very easy, very standard, but we can see a reliable production with a repeated quality on the workpieces. One of our latest installation in robot technique is done in France at company Atulam. We have here a capacity of 60 windows per day, and we have just one robot. We have 2 spray booths, and the robot is in the middle. And we do not have to turn the parts. We just put the part to one spray booth, the robot spray part side 1, then the part goes to a buffer, second part is coming in. Of course, we have high humidification in the buffer. The robot turns 180 degrees and the part is already here. So we never have waiting times for the robot. We can spray very continuously, and we have the full capacity for one robot. And so one robot can do 60 beams per day. That's a high capacity with one system. So this is what I call intelligence logistic. It's not just the robot you have to think about, it's the complete engineering layout beside in order to get a good capacity in that way. So a little bit more standard installation at the end of the engineering concept I want to show you. This is done at company Dandel in South Germany. We have two separate circles, conveyor circle, one conveyor circle for the flow coating line with an area of sanding between, and one circle of robot coating. And of course, this customer is very flexible. He can do flow coating and robot coating in parallel. He has double capacity combined to a line where a robot and a flow coater is just in one circle. And he can do what he wants, 1 or 2 time flow coating, 1 or 2 time top coating with robot. So this kind of line is for more than 60 windows per day and can be, depending on the buffers, on the drying sections, up to 100 windows per day. So, thank you for your presentation, and I hope that was interesting for you. And if there are some questions, please feel free. So, thank you very much.